Welcome. This is Instructor John T. Walsh Jr. I will be conducting the course Law of Business Organizations for the summer session 2 at CCRI in the summer of 2020, and I have made this video to basically be a short introduction to the course and how I intend to conduct the classes, what will be expected of you, and how we will proceed. This is an online learning course in its entirety, so all contact with me will be through the internet and through emails. There will be no sessions where we meet as a class together. That being said, let me just go over some of the ways in which I intend to conduct the course. First and foremost, in place of classroom lecture time, I am going to make a series of videos like this one, which will each cover one of the subjects that we have to cover as part of the course curriculum. In addition to that, I have begun to and will continue to post my lecture notes for each topic that we're covering. These will be placed in Blackboard in a section called Notes, and each one of these will relate to a particular video, or sometimes if they're small sections, we may have two sets of notes tied into one video. It is expected that you will watch the videos, that will be your lecture time, and that you will read the notes and become familiar with the notes. In addition to this, on each night when we would have had class, had this been a regular course meeting on campus, I will be available either through Zoom or hopefully through the Blackboard system to have an online meeting with you folks. We will begin at 6:15. These meetings, since I'm not going to be giving the full lecture at that time, will not be 3 hours long. I expect they would run anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes. And at that time, I will review whatever materials you should have been looking at in terms of the lectures and the notes. I will answer questions about the lectures, about quizzes, about briefs, about any issues that you may have, and I may do some inquiries from you folks just to find out how you're doing, where you're going, what you think is happening with the class, how this seems to be working out for you. So I will use those times basically as a time to keep contact with you and to make sure that we're all kind of rolling along. For any of you who have not taken summer classes before, one of the things you have to be aware of from this point forward, we basically have 5 weeks left, and we are going to be compressing what in a regular semester would be 15 or 16 weeks worth of materials and work into a 5-week period. It goes by very quickly. I myself usually don't teach summer courses because it's a great burden on the professor to be prepared, because you're basically doing 2.5, almost 3 weeks worth of work every single week to prepare and to get ready. So it is quite intensive. The one thing I would urge you is please do not fall behind. When you fall behind in something that moves this quickly, it's very difficult to catch up. I have in a folder on Blackboard called Administration, I have now posted the syllabus, and I have posted a calendar for the course to let us know where we're going. In the syllabus, a whole number of things are explained. It'd be worth your while to read through it and look at it. I'll just hit some of the highlights, some of the things that I think are critical. Your grading for this course will basically be based upon 4 quizzes, a final exam, and 5 briefs. The briefs will constitute 25% of your grade. The quizzes and final exam will constitute 75%, and the final will be equal to 2 quizzes. So in effect, it'll be like you had 6 quiz grades that will be averaged into your average. I always put number grades on your quizzes. I put letter grades on your briefs, so you should be able to follow along fairly easily, figure out where you stand, how you're doing. Now, because this is a remote learning class, one of the things that I would urge, I fully expect that when you do a quiz, you will utilize all the materials available to you. The textbook, my notes, my lectures, Wikipedia, any business law, program you may use on the internet to look up things. So I expect a little bit more in terms of answers than I would if I were giving you a sit-down quiz in a classroom and giving you 10 questions and say you've got 20 minutes to scribble out an answer to each of these. So each quiz will be given to you. You'll have a week to work on it and get it back to me. But I do expect a little bit of professionalism here. So please don't just throw something down on paper and get it back to me, but look at your answers, work at your answers. You may have to redo them a couple of times to get them to the point where they're suitable or where they're answer the questions well. I do not specifically take off for spelling or grammar. However, I have to say that when I'm reading a bunch of quizzes and trying to correct things quickly, a paragraph that is well written, thought out, grammatical, spelled correctly is much easier to grade and much easier to deal with than is one that is just kind of stream of consciousness thrown down on paper. And I try not to give the stream of consciousness answers a lower grade, but I have to admit that sometimes the ones that are better written, more grammatical, more correct in terms of English usage and language, I just come out sounding better and end up with a little bit better grade. I will look for anything, and the worst thing you can do is to leave something totally unanswered. I will read any answer that you put down. I will try to find some merit in it, and if I can find any merit in it, I will give you partial credit. So please, when you do the quizzes, try and come up with an answer for every single question, even if you're not sure it's correct. Give it your best shot and work at it a little bit. Don't just quickly throw something down and email it back to me. All quizzes will be returned by email. All briefs will be handed in by email. I'd be very careful of using the school system where they have that they have through Microsoft Word, because my protocols on my computer systems, being a lawyer, handling confidential and financial information for clients, we have fairly severe firewalls. And so there have been times when there have been issues getting documents through to me. I would urge you, if you have a scanner, to print your document, scan it to a PDF and send it to me that way, or send it as a Word document separate from the CCRI system. Attach it to your regular email, as well as your CCRI email, and send it through to me. By the end of the first week of next week, the second week, we'll have some idea if people are having issues with that, and if you do, we'll work out other ways for you to get documents to me. So not to despair, we'll make it work, but I just know from the past sometimes, and particularly if you're using other somewhat less recognized programs, sometimes there's difficulty getting stuff through my firewall. So let me know. I have opened up, or at least I feel I have opened up Blackboard so that you should all be able to get onto it at this point. So please, as I said in my notes yesterday, please go to Blackboard. Make sure you can access the information. If you can't, let me know. We'll find another way to get things to you. Besides posting my videos, posting a link to them on Blackboard, I will email you the contact information for my YouTube channel, and all of the videos will be posted at my YouTube channel, so you should be able to get it through just the general internet and not just through the Blackboard system. Hopefully both will be up and working for the whole 5 weeks that we're going to be doing this. I will be taking attendance. So at each of the meetings, online meetings, I will take attendance of whoever comes in. And as part of that, I would urge you, please, if you have to come in late, or if you come in and have to leave early, please at least come in for part of the meeting. I'd rather have you there for a few minutes than to have you miss the entire thing, because you don't want to feel like, oh my God, I'm breaking in the middle, and or I have to leave early and Professor Walsh is going to notice that. Please come in for whatever you can. I want you to be part of those discussions for as much as you're able to participate. I am anticipating at this point that those meetings would run anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes or an hour. So even if you're 30 minutes late, just check to see if we're still running and check in. I will be available, and I will keep the meeting running for as long as people have questions or issues, or we are fruitfully discussing something. But I doubt that there'll be any night where we'll go all the way to 9:30 be at those meetings. Again, the majority of your time is expected to be spent following the videoed lectures at your own time and your own pace, although you really need to try and keep up with how fast we're going in the class. Don't let it pile up. And by going through the notes and the briefs and responding to the quizzes. If you cannot show up at a meeting, please email me during the week. And that should be happening almost automatically, because once we get rolling through next week, you're going to have a brief and a quiz due every single week. I have to, as part of the requirements placed on me by the school, I have to take attendance, and I have to be able to say that you have kept in contact with me through the semester. You cannot just download all of your materials the last day and having had no other contact with me for the semester. I need to report into my department and to the school how much contact students have had with me. So please, in order to successfully complete the course, I need to have at least an email contact from you every week, even just to say, Professor Walsh, I've had a horrible week. I missed the meeting. I'm going to be a day late on my handing in my quiz and my brief. I will see you and talk to you in a couple of days. I expect that briefs and quizzes will be turned in on time. I will initially say that I will not hold you absolutely to the final deadline for each of them. However, if we get into the semester and a large number of people are behind, I reserve the right to impose absolute limits and deadlines as to when things must be handed in. Part of the chaos of last semester was that a number of my students got way backed up with their assignments, and that just makes it nearly impossible for me in the last few days to try and get everything corrected and to get grades posted and get the administrative stuff done that I'm required to do. I will grade your papers. I will, once they're graded, scan them and email them back to you. So your quizzes and briefs will be returned to you. For those of you who are in the paralegal program and you need to have writing samples, I believe if you make a brief, a 2-page brief, it could constitute as one of the items for your portfolio. When you send it in, just make a note in your emails that says, Professor Walsh, I'm including this as part of my portfolio because I believe to be in the portfolio, besides having a grade, there must be comments written by the professor of the course who had assigned the work. So those of you in the paralegal program who need to add items to your portfolio, if you want to use any of your briefs, please let me know that that's what you're doing. And besides just giving a grade, I will make comments, write them, and I will scan that into the system and send that back to you so that you have it for future references.